love from a Fire Recovery Cafe. Let me say that again. The love from a Fire Recovery Cafe here at the Victory Worship Center. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are so grateful. Hey, listen, we got some exciting conversation coming out tonight. I want y'all to know I got some amazing guests, right? And I want you to be ready because this is going to be a great conversation. And they don't know the topic. So they didn't even have a chance to even think about it because I wanted them to give it real conversation from real men because real men.
Being real.
Let's go. So I got my dog. Okay, I got Dave Purtle. Dave, today's going to be a great conversation.
I'm ready, Doc.
You ready?
I'm
I
ready.
love it. Then we got Ramondo. Ramondo stepping in. So I want y'all to know Ramondo is getting fresh for the podcast scene. So Ramondo is going to start co-hosting some of our podcasts.
Yeah.
And we excited to have him. And we're going to have some topics because I love the fact that we can have them, right? With real men being real.
That's it. That's it.
So today, guys, I want you to know today's conversation is not about who's right or wrong. It's about what we've never felt safe enough to say out loud. Okay? We're asking men and women. So make sure you drop it in the comments, right? If you need to send a message, whatever you need to do, let us know. We want men and women to listen, not to defend, but to just understand what they're saying, okay? So, conversation today is what men wish women understood. Something men wish women understood. Right? What's one thing you wish women understood about men, but without blame?
Well, I'll take a shot at that. Excuse me. I wish that women understood the vulnerability of a man.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, I think that if women would understand how much we really would like to be vulnerable, but being vulnerable as a man comes with a cost.
Absolutely.
It comes with a cost.
Okay.
Respect,
Okay.
authority,
Okay.
the truth, and understanding that when we say things that we want to be vulnerable about, the reason we don't because we know you're gonna put it back in our face.
Can you give an example? And without calling anyone out, because I know
Sure.
you all are married, so I just want you to be clear that
Sure.
it may not even be your wife that you're referencing, right?
Well, when we're having a I'll say argument or a dispute or whatever, and because she knows me so well, right? We've been together long enough that she knows me and she knows my triggers. But because she's feeling like she's somewhat losing the argument, she'll go into the safe and start pulling out things that she knows that I've been vulnerable to her about.
That she basically the secrets that she knows is going to hurt you because you maybe cried when you told her.
That's right.
That's right. You felt safe enough to share with her.
Right.
And it's like, this my ammo.
This my ammo because I was safe enough. I felt safe enough to become vulnerable and tell you when I laid my head in your lap and I was emotional and I was telling you what I was dealing with. At that time, you was, it's going to be okay, babe, this, that, and the third. But then as soon as me and you get into a dispute or heated argument, you go to the vault, you pull out my vulnerability, and you throw it back in my face. And for men, if you do that one time, we'll never do it again.
Great example. Ladies, I hope you're hearing this. Not that it's referencing any particular situation. So, we want to make sure that we're giving space for them to be vulnerable, but also not to throw it in their face once they are vulnerable when you want to use it as ammo. That was a good one. Great example. What do you think?
I mean, for me, I think that I would wish that women understood that men could be honest. and trustworthy despite perspective, you know, because men get bashed so much, and men get downtrodden and misrepresented so often that the perspective is that all men are the same, you know, and so I think that, you know, my wish would be that you judge the person for who they are, and not, you know, not make it a group project, not
As
make it
gender.
as a male gender.
As a
Yeah,
male gender, absolutely.
You judge the person
Yeah.
and not the fact that the person is a male. Is
Right.
what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Right, right. Do you think men then carry silently things that rarely gets acknowledged because they group you all together?
I mean, I do. I mean, acknowledgement is for me. Acknowledgement can sometimes be overrated. Like I've done so much in my life that acknowledgement is not really the factor, and it's not the primary intent for something. Like I think that acknowledgement from the perspective of respect is what a man would more appreciate. You
Okay.
know, if a woman would be, you know, honest in her feelings about, you know, she knows the what men have done in a good way or positive way, and then give them that. It's almost like giving the honor. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Where to make the man feel valued
Okay.
and valuable. You know, and
Mhm.
so I guess I would look at it from that perspective. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Doc, I think it's important that at some point a man is acknowledged because, to be honest, almost a lot of the things we do, we want to be acknowledged for it. When he got dressed, he didn't do it on purpose for no one, but he wanted to be acknowledged. I'm a well-kept gentleman. You see what I'm saying? When we go to pastor's barbershop and they leave that barbershop, they want you want your girl to be like, hey,
Nice.
that's a nice cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as soon as somebody else says it, then it's a problem.
Then it's a problem.
So we do want to be acknowledged for who we are, what we bring to the table, um, how we provide, and how we make a safe space available. So yeah, I do believe that.
Pastor Roberts.
So, one of the things that I hear is you both saying you would wish that women would not weaponize our vulnerability.
Right.
And then, if I could quote the late Bishop Eddie Long, he wrote a book. It was called "We Don't Want Delilah, We Want You."
Right.
That was a good book. And in that book, he spoke about a woman's style of communication with her man and how to acknowledge. And one of the examples he gave was simply making a bed, and how we know as men, we acquiesce to women in the home for the most part because they're the homemakers. You know, so if she wants to bed with hospital corners, we give hospital corners. And she said, but if he doesn't give hospital corners, instead of beating him up and about not giving hospital corners, and maybe you've told him 2 or 3 times, maybe the 4th time you tell him, you stroke him a little bit and say, hey, this is, babe, you did a good job, but you still didn't do those hospital corners. If you would just do them like this, man, it would be so much better. And then when he does it, acknowledge it. You know, and I think that's what I hear you guys saying. And that's really not a gender thing. Women want the same thing from us. They want to be acknowledged for the same thing.
But I think the difference is, Pastor, that we as men create an atmosphere where women are acknowledged at a more frequent basis. So, and I think that's because it's an expectation. You know, women. You know, when your wife or your girl gets dressed, or if she's, you know, if she's performing or whatever it is, she wants you to be able to let her know how well she looks, how well she did, all of those kind of things. It's almost like an expectation. But with men, you know, it's like it's okay, But if like today's point, if another woman say, "Wow, you look nice," then it becomes an issue. Why is she saying that to you? Why is she looking at you like that? Well, I mean,
I do.
I guess you can say that without sounding arrogant. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I just think women need to be, and I don't believe in bashing anyone. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? I just believe in trying to be straight up about, you know, one hand washes the other.
As it should.
I guess that's the way I would put it. Yeah.
If I could just chime in, but Pastor, I do want to know what your one thing is that you wish women understood. But what I want to chime in on this is saying that it's upbringing for women to acknowledge men, right? Because they're accustomed to wanting to get the attention that they believe they deserve. They think, and oftentimes women believe that it's the man that's supposed to give the attention and the accolades towards what this woman looks and desires looks like for them, that they don't think they're supposed to reciprocate it. And I often have to tell women, that's just not true. I'm not sure who told you that. But in order to have the man look at you and be who he wants to be in your eyes, you must uplift him daily. You must let him know. In the worst clothes he got on, baby, you sure look good. So they can say, girl, shut up. I got on these old raggedy-looking clothes, but she sure look good to me, right? It's about constant uplifting because once they leave your house, they're beat down so much, right? And if you don't instill that in the beginning, you can't expect it down the road, right? So that's when you decide if this is my person, right? If you decide this is my person, did they give you that? Because even if someone else tell you, it make you feel good. If your mate didn't, it still makes you feel good if your mate does, but it sure feel good when somebody new do it because it's like, oh, I still got it. Like, oh, I still got it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But you got to build yourself up. And whether they do it for you or not matters, but you got to learn how to tell yourself. You got to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. So if they tell you, it's kind of like your mama used to say, don't you fall for no young little boy telling you you're beautiful, and I tell you 1,000 times a day, right? You know that already, right? Hit me with something I don't know, right? Pastor, what's one thing you wish women understood about men?
That we're really, although we can give the appearance of being Superman, that we're not. That there are times when we have been beat up in the world, and sometimes we want the safe space of coming home and literally falling into our woman's arms, like literally falling into our woman's arms without having to say a word.
Right.
And then take that time to digress from what we've dealt with in that day and then talk later, if that makes sense.
And that does. It makes total sense. I think that's part of morals and values you set in your home. That once I walk in the house, I need 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever that time is you want to set for me to come home. And come home means let me take my shoes off. Let me sit down. Let me relax. Let me chill. Let me, don't ask me about my day. Don't tell me about the shoes and the garbage and all. Give me whatever time you set for me to come home. Because the goal this day is just to get home, right? The goal ain't necessarily to just be where you are. The goal is to get home. And I think people misconstrue that as men. We know they beat. And I heard him say about superhero, I think Dave could do everything. I don't know about y'all, but I just be like, Dave could do it. If Dave would do it, I already know it, right? So I understand that. But I understand that people have to understand that it's kind of difficult to shift. I know it's called your husband and your man, but I need you to represent my daddy, right? And most men are looking for their fathers. And they don't know how to shift into treating you other than that. And you'll often hear women say, well, my daddy used to, or my daddy could, if they had them in their lives. I love the fact that, you guys are girl dads, right? This is a girl dad. This is a full-blown girl dad. He ain't got no sons, right? He got a grandson, right? Dave a girl dad. And it's just to see how y'all represent fatherhood with those young girls, teaching them how to be the women they're going to be wives one day, right? And knowing that, how much um, how much of that do you feel being that women don't understand the importance of showing up for your daughters when it's hard to show up for the wife that had the children? Knock it off.
Knock it off.
That's right.
Whoa.
I'm just saying. Right?
Yeah,
We was talking about how the women, and when they don't show up. So how do you teach your daughter that they got to show up for the man that they're gonna be with?
Well, as far as wow, so for Ariel, my daughter, I try to. She has a wonderful mother, but we spent a lot of our time. She spent a lot of her growing up with me, and her mom too. But so I try to make sure she sees in me the love I present to a woman in front of her. You see what I'm saying? So, and then I've worked really hard in making sure the women she's around, she can pick up nuggets and jewels from them, so she can see how a woman is and how she performs and how she dresses and how she carries herself. And she's got a lot of her grandmothers, both her grandmothers in her, so she has the base. And then as she grows up, or as she was growing up, I was slowly tuning those areas by the women I kept her around, allowed her to be around. My daughter has not met every woman I know.
I got you, because that's important.
Yeah, she don't even.
You don't need that info.
She don't need to know them. So, and even from the time that I was, from my previous marriage up to now, which Sinead calls me her Superman, because she think I can do everything too.
I do.
So I'm just saying, it's just a time that I spent with my daughter to make sure she understands womanhood, and Ariel has picked it up. And this church, and I will be honest, this church has made a difference in my daughter's life. My daughter has been through so much trauma. Some of it self-affliction, some of it wasn't. Her losing her daughter and all this other stuff. But she's been around the right women, and I think I did play a part in making sure she was in those front of those places.
That's good. That's good.
Mine is a little different, having 5 daughters, 5 different personalities. And so my oldest daughter, of course, is not by my wife, Okay. And they both have good mothers. All my kids have, I would never say that their mothers weren't instrumental in their lives. There were times where there could have been some differences of opinion and understanding. And so what I try to do is just give my children kind of a perspective of, you want your man to be a representation of what you're familiar with. Like you can't have a man that's going to bring something to the table that's outside of what you've been groomed, or not, I don't even want to use the word groom. You can't bring a man into a space. Not saying that you can't. I'm just saying you should be mindful about bringing a man into a space that is doing things different than what you're accustomed to being around and seeing and having been attached to. And so, like my daughters say stuff like, "Dad, a man got to be at least your standards." And I'm like, "Well, thank you." Like what that mean? But like, so basically, my oldest daughter kind of said, "I'm not accepting a man that does not meet a certain level of requirement. A certain level of my expectation. Like, and that means what I've seen, what I'm accustomed to, how I've been treated, and what my daddy has taught me, that kind of thing." And so, girls are really different. What I'm saying? Like boys, I just, boop and boop, boop. And, that's what it is. But with girls, there's another level of sensitivity, that you have to bring in, and compassion that you have to bring into the scenario. And so for me, I try to lead that way. Like my daughters, they don't think it's anything that I can't do. You know, I don't care what it is. Like my daughter was in college at Howard. She would call me. I'd say, Dad, I need some money. I'd be like, didn't I just send you some money? She'd be like, yeah, I know. And my wife would say like, well, he don't care. Whatever it take to make sure she have what she need, he gonna do that. If he had to pay a bill late or whatever, he gonna do it. You know, and that's just because I didn't really have that. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to be able to give them that understanding that you don't have to accept anything less than what you expect. You get what I'm saying? I guess that's the best way I can put it.
Absolutely. That's a great analogy. That's real good. And I think that's often the piggyback. I know, Pastor, you have no girls, right? No girls. Okay. We'll catch you on the next one. But, you know, the part is, I think that I really want you guys, because you said something very intricate in reference to speaking on your daughter, but during the difficult times, right, where the house is in shambles for whatever reason, how often do you know it's important to go to the daughter to make sure she feels safe when she knows there's a disconnect with the parents? And this doesn't have to be in the home, right? This could be the parents. And I say this, because a lot of people kind of know my story when it comes to Courtney, but every year of my daughter's birthday, I've taught her who I was the year she's turning, from her 6 years old to today, right? So every year her birthday, in the morning, she always be like, come on, give it to me, because I got you. I don't know what was wrong with you. Why was you doing all that, right? And so she's interested. But on her 17th birthday, it was real interesting, because that's the first time I became a mother, right? On her 19th birthday, it was when I was like, you really broke the curse. I needed to wait for her to be 19 and not have had a child, for her to understand what I meant when I would say, ooh, you right at the edge of bringing the curse breaker for our bloodline, because God said it stopped with me. But also on her 19th birthday, I had her have one of the most difficult conversations with her father, who was absent, right? And not absent because he just chose to, like, let me get my career, right? Let me do this. And his mother, his family stepped in. And of course, everybody knows that is my family. They have stepped in. They help with everybody. And I love them. Oh, I love them so much. I hope you're watching Ivory, but I love them so much. But I said, tell her why you weren't present. It's not for me to tell them, right? It's not for the mother to tell the child why the father isn't present. But it's very important to make sure the father tells the child how to feel safe in their absence or without their presence, right? How important it is it to you to make sure at all costs, even when it's bad, even when it's good, that your daughters feel safe?
I mean, that question right there is almost a personal kind of question for me, because I feel so disappointed when I can't be that safe space for my kids. Like one of my daughters right now, and she's finding herself. You know what I mean? And I wanna be there for her how I can, but it gets difficult sometimes, because just being transparent and honest, I don't always know how. I don't always know the right way. Because I've always had to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But like I tell my kids, I said, you all don't know what it feels. Y'all don't know what struggle is. Y'all don't know what real tough times are. And I always use the analogy. I say, if y'all came home from school and the lights were off or the water was off, y'all just died. I say, every time I came home from school, it was 50-50. They might be on, it might be off. I say, that is the difference. But to your point, just being able to say, I just want my kids to know that I'll die for my kids. I do whatever I got to do to make sure that they understand that I got their backs. Yeah. So that's kind of what I struggle with a little bit sometimes. Mm-hmm. Just being able to really emphasize that and make them understand, because girls difficult. Yeah. They have their own mind. Like boys, is easy. You can force that on them, but girls, they have their own mental perspectives on everything, and so you got to kind of find the narrative or the niche to really make them understand.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, coming in with your wife, finding out when I can't do it, I need you to piggyback. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? The Kobe Shaq thing, right?
Yep.
I need you to go on and take this pass because it's hard for me. I stand up and pee. She sit down. Teach me how to help her. And oftentimes, the children are doing things the parents never saw, right? Or the children are overcoming things that the parents are still afraid to address, right, Pastor?
I want to touch on something that he just mentioned because it's like a tightrope when you talk about what you talked about. Because I grew up in the same kind of home you did.
Okay.
When you came home, it was 50-50.
Right.
You know, and when you
most
came
of
home,
us-
you were letting yourself in the door,
Yeah.
That's right.
and you were
Actually.
pouring cereal as your afternoon meal.
That's
You
right.
know, that kind of thing. And God bless my mother. May she rest in peace. She did the best she could with what
That's
she
right.
had to work with.
Right.
But I think what needs to kind of be discussed and tackled is how do you do what we're all guilty of doing as parents, which is wanting our children to have more than we had without developing a sense of entitlement, because that's what seems to be permeating in this generation right now. They're getting more, they have more, it's there automatically.
Right.
But how do we create a mindset of value in them so they know this didn't come by osmosis?
Right.
Somebody's working for this.
That's right.
Somebody's putting in sweat equity for this. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I know how to do it with boys because I got 3 of them. I got 2 of my own and a bonus son. So it's like, how do you do it with girls so that they don't think they're entitled to what you do, or what you provide, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, and I appreciate you making that point, Pastor. I was just gonna say it's really difficult to give them the exposure and the access that we give them. I say I got a big mouth anyway, but I think it's difficult to give them the exposure and the access that we give them without creating that sense of entitlement because they haven't seen anything different. See, with you and I and all of us, for example, we know what struggle is, but we also know what success is. So they've only seen one side of it. So for them not to have been exposed to the other side, everything is automatic for them. It's like, you're my parent. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to work and give me all your money and do all that kind of stuff, as opposed to saying, Dad, I know you sacrificed for me this time, and I appreciate it. See, that's a sense of value. That's a sense of value that we expect for our kids. But I think with this generation, they just don't understand how to be able to receive it that way. I think that they are lost in that shuffle of, my parents are going to do it either way. And so that's where the entitlement part of it comes.
And so that's what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying. So for example, with my sons, each of them, when I'm teaching them how to make a bed up, using that analogy again, but this is literal.
Right.
If they don't make it up, I'm snatching the covers off. Make it
Wow.
up again.
Okay.
Because I know you know how to do it. I've seen you do it.
Right.
So now you're in a mood where you don't feel like doing it. But if you don't do it right, I'm snatching the covers off. Make it up again.
Okay.
But with girls, I think the mentality or the approach, especially from father to daughter,
Right.
seems to be different because I'm the youngest of about 17 kids.
Okay.
I had 8 sisters and I had 8 brothers. And I watched my father, I don't know any other word to say, literally acquiesce to my sisters and keep his foot on our neck. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, and the mindset of entitlement with girls is what I'm saying. Like, you can train them and you can teach them, okay, well, no man should do less than this.
Right.
But you still got to be able to do for yourself,
That's
is
right.
what I'm saying.
That's right.
And a lot of them don't have that mentality.
Yeah.
I think it's boundaries that have to be set, right, for children, even more so than anyone else. Reason being is you want them to learn what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? And I always share with people, when I came home from prison, I had to literally take my check and show my kids. Now, these folks said we had to wait 2 weeks before I get some money. I don't know. This is the craziest thing to me today. Just so today in this moment, I don't know why that makes sense to people. But I ain't got this, so don't go putting this in the cart. This is all I got. This is my budget, right? This bill got to be paid. That, and I'm showing them every bill, all the money come in, and what's got to go out. So I'm not telling you no because I want to tell you no. I'm telling you no because I don't got it, right? But I didn't. My mother was like, "Why would you show them that?" I'm like, "Cause I don't want to have the talk conversation about it every week. I want to let them know this is why I'm saying no when I always used to say yes." So when it shifts, I had to set a boundary. So I would say, okay, it looks like we would have to, Chris was still alive, and we would have to say, all right, well, layaways were still there at stores and stuff, and we would say, okay, well, we could put it on layaway, and in 2 weeks you can get it, or you gotta set a boundary for your children who don't understand what the sacrifice is. They don't care nothing about it for real. They don't know nothing about what you talking about. They gotta wait. Their understanding is, I gotta go to school, and I see kids getting something, and they got a mama and a daddy, and while you're my mama and my daddy, so you gotta share your environment, your home, on how it works for you, so that they know what you see ain't always what it is, but what you going through is what we got you at. That this is us, this our house, this how this go, right? You're not going without lights and water and food, but you might go without the Jordans this time, right? Dave.
Yeah, well, y'all probably ain't gonna like this, but my daughter, I just spoil her. I just don't want her to. She's self-sufficient now, but I always wanted her to feel safe. I always wanted her to know she can call her dad. When she was, I think she was 13 or 14, she was staying with her mom, she ran away. When I tell you I made a beeline to find my child, I wasn't going home until I found her, because I needed her to know a couple of things. I am here to make sure she's always safe, regardless to whatever happened at the house with her and whatever made her leave. I had to find her because I needed her to know. Now, when I found her, walking, I found her. I didn't, what you doing? Why you run away? Get your son. I got out my truck, and the first thing I did was hug her.
That's right.
Was I upset? A little bit. I was more grateful.
And scared,
And scared. My daughter is outside, shorts on, no shoes, in Decatur. Okay, so I said that to say, so I just kind of have made sure I try to protect her. Even now, at 30, I still want her to know that if she don't got it, call your daddy. I should make you make your own way through that, but I don't want you to do anything to get yourself in a bad situation. I don't want you to ask no man for it. I don't want you to go out and crack cards and deposit checks that's not yours. I don't want you to do anything that's going to get you in trouble. So I've been to the rescue of my kids probably more than I should, and I take accountability for that. But I have to make sure she understands she's safe. And me and her talk. Like, we have conversations that's a little uncomfortable for me. It ain't uncomfortable for her. But I've created that space so she could tell me, hey, Dad, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit much.
Yeah. I can tell you what, I my children feel too comfortable having conversations with me, but I had to appreciate that they're growing up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like when they were little bitty girls, like my daughter showed me a picture. It's been before she went back to school, and she said, "Dad, do you remember when you used to paint our nails and we used to have tea parties in our closet?" And I was like, "Girl, I ain't never painted your nails." And she went and found a picture of me painting her sister's toenails. Wow. And I was like, "Girl, that ain't me." She was like, "Well, who is it?" But So, it's that vulnerability for me, and today's point, we want our kids to understand that we are that vessel to keep them safe. You know what I mean? And we are that foundation for them. But it gets scary as they get older because they become more mentally independent. And so it's harder to kind of enforce guidance, I guess would be the best way for me to put it. Like, even if it's good information, they have their own mindset. And so it's hard to really enforce it and impose it on them. Like, my daughters are so strong-willed. I mean, all of them. It's 5 different personalities, I know what to expect from each one of them, Like, yesterday I helped my daughter do something, and I was like, you could have done this yourself. You didn't need me. And she was like, yeah, I'm looking at it now, Dad. I probably could have did that by myself. I didn't really need you. But I needed the organization, though, because you know how to get it organized. So she found no reason for me to be there, but I didn't really need to be there. But she told the client, oh, no, my daddy, let me show you. My daddy going to come and show you. He'll show you how to do it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. I guess, yeah.
And you want that accountability with love. Like, you really do, because at least they know I can count on him.
Right. Yeah.
If I can't count on nobody else.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And with that, it makes them know that they won't they'll know the red flag, green flag when they're picking people that they want to be their person, because it's going to be like, I can stay home or stay having my daddy help me before I start letting you not be someone I can depend on. Like, we ain't going to do that, right? But what's something you learned about women that you decide it has made you unlearn some things? What is something about a woman that you've learned that made you unlearn some things?
Communication.
Yes.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah, Pastor. What's something you learned about women that has made you unlearn some things? Still figuring them out,
Yeah, I am. I am.
Just pick one.
It's like them. I'm still figuring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to crack the code. Go on.
I ain't mad at you.
I understand fully, Pastor.
But we don't communicate.
Tell me about communicate. Yeah.
We don't, Doc. We don't. What else? I won't say we. Me. I had to unlearn
Like that.
unlearn my aspect of me communicating. You may ask me something, and I just give you an answer. Like, that was my answer. That wasn't communicating. That was just giving you a flat answer because, one, I don't want to talk about it. Men don't want to.
It's so hard to not say that.
Because it depends on who you with.
Okay.
Because if I say this, then you'll say that. Now it's a problem with what I said. Now we arguing about my statement. So it's like, I'll just say this so we ain't got to go through all that. But that's not communicating. What I should say is, baby, listen, I understand how you feel. And you're right. I shouldn't have said that. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I apologize. I'm just going through something today. I brought my work home with me. And if you can, give me another chance, I'll make it right. Yeah. Instead of saying, man, listen, go on with all that. I ain't trying to hear all that, man. I ain't been at work all day dealing with these folk, man. You're doing too much. Raise up. That wasn't communicating. That was blowing her off, disrespecting her in a sense, not taking what she said serious. And now she don't want to talk. She didn't cut the bedroom off. She ain't cooking nothing. She ain't kissing and hugging. None of that. When if I'd have said, well, you know what, I'm sorry. My bad. I should have handled that different if you can, whoa. And before you know it, now we Netflix and chilling. Right. And she'll go give me something to drink and we cool and the bedroom ain't cut off and all that. So a lot of times it's us not communicating and being able to talk. One, we don't want to face the issue, especially when it's on us.
Do you have a safe word like we teach people?
Well,
do you all know what the safe word is?
I don't have a safe word.
Let me educate them on what the safe
Okay,
word is.
okay.
And I need you
Okay.
Of all people.
I know. I should have a safe word.
Safe word.
Do
So
it.
the safe word is this. In the moment of a heated argument in your home, so that the argument does not continue, your family has to create a safe word, and then you have up to 2 hours to come back and refinish the conversation.
Right.
Okay? So mine is pickles at our house. I very rarely have to call pickles. Since Courtney is a way to live the way she lives, and I live how I live, so we very rarely don't, And I still can look at kids. I don't know about other houses, but I look at kids. I don't care their age. I still look and get right. I wish I would tongue wrestle, but at the same time, it's the upbringing. So a lot of people don't know that the safe words have saved some lives. It has saved things getting thrown, walls getting punched, arguments, fist fights, slaps, whatever, because someone said pickles. And everybody has to respect that the word was called. You go on to different places in the homes. No one talked to each other. It's almost like the lights cut off. And then pay attention to the time, right? And in 2 hours, first you start off with, please forgive me. If there's anything I said that hurt you, can we finish the conversation like two adults should finish a conversation, right? Safe words are mandatory in houses, and if you don't have one, you need to create a safe word. Now, what do you use for a safe word? Stuff you it's just disgusting. So I can't stand pickles. That's why I use pickles, and people use chitlins and hogs and whatever they just, that means it's just, I don't want to do this because I should be loving you. We shouldn't be talking like this to one another. So if you create the safe word, that should help a lot.
So is shut up a safe word?
It's not.
Shut up not a safe word. Okay.
What about
Absolutely
fall
not.
back?
Fall back is not a safe word. Oh, God. What?
I thought shut up would be good. Like shut up.
Shut up's not a safe word. Your mama told you to say be quiet anyway. You
She
tell
said-
nobody shut up.
Sure don't tell nobody shut up. Especially when you argue.
Right.
You definitely want to tell them. Especially
Shut
not no black woman. You better not tell her to shut up.
You gonna have some problems.
Right.
I
So,
wanna-
Mondo, and then being the leader of your home, all three of you, right? Create y'all safe words and let me know. what you come up
I got
with.
one in my mind right now, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up as an example of how you can diffuse that negative space. Like if for example, if me and my wife get into a heated argument, I'll say something like, you know what, you got it. I mean, you can have it. I'm not even, you win. But what I learned about my wife is that she loves apologies. You know what I mean? Like she'll say something like, "You haven't apologized to me yet," and I'll be like, "Apologize to you for what?" And she'd be like, "Oh, you don't remember when we had the argument?" I said, "But you started it." You know, and it'd be kind of like a situation. I said, "You know what? I'm gonna save face, man. I'm sorry. I mean, if I did something wrong, which I didn't, I don't know if that's actually an apology, because I might say,
I was finna say,
I
are you
really
sincere?
yeah,
Like,
but I say,
that's not
and
really an
and that's what
apology.
she'll say. That ain't no apology. I'll be like,
Oh, so-
well, I really didn't do anything, but I'm sorry if I offended you or hurt your feelings. Do you forgive me?
I
And she-
challenge you next time to when she brings it up to you,
Right.
to just say, "My bad. I do owe you an apology." Not what I do. I ain't do nothing. What,
I mean, I get it, and so what I learned is it's hard for her to apologize, and that's it's totally cool, because I'm a hard guy to deal with sometimes. I understand that, you know. I mean, I just am, but I'll apologize because it almost still gives me the same. My status is still where it needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like when you have that negative space, it's like the respect dwindles a little bit, and then you kind of, it's like every man is for himself, and everybody's for themselves. You see what I'm saying? And I want to keep this space of camaraderie for one, but understanding how how my home should function.
absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
so I just had that conversation with your entire home. Like, hey, we're going to have a safe word. Tell them what it is, if you whatever. But I also want you to, yes, Pastor, I also want you to, respect doesn't dwindle no matter what.
We have some interaction going on online.
Absolutely.
Brother Rod Jones said he had to unlearn that because a woman presents as strong or presents, as strong, it doesn't necessarily mean she's strong.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In other words, like you have women, and this is not being disrespectful, but they have a bark, but they really don't want to bite. Let's put
Right.
it that way. In other words, they want to present a certain way to you to say I'm tough, I'm out there is what I believe he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But they really want you to rescue them.
Yep.
That's a good point.
That's a good
They
point.
really want you to rescue
Yep.
them.
Yep.
They want you to bring them
I need you to
down.
see me,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
See me that
they're-
I'm angry and
Yeah.
bring me in and hold me and let me know it's gonna be all right. That you don't have to be, right?
Right, that
But
part.
that's on certain situations because when you both heated, it's gonna be hard because he's gonna want that too,
Right.
right? And so it's important that everybody reflects on the fact that when y'all both got an argument, somebody got to back down.
Yeah.
And I just respect if the man does first, and then say this is silly. Right?
And
Well,
I
Let's
agree
talk
with
later.
you.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you because the man, like where the woman is I used this phrase earlier and it's such an antiquated phrase. I called it a homemaker. Y'all forgive me for that. But nonetheless, yeah, you have to, I believe as men, we have to set the culture for our marriage,
Absolutely.
for our relationship. We have to define the culture. And how do you do that? Yeah, sometimes you're going to have to submit when you don't think you should. You're going to have to bring things down when you don't think it's your responsibility to bring it down. Like you just said, brother, that, you said to your wife, but you started the argument. Why I got to apologize?
Right.
So, yeah, that was a great point.
But I think also, Doc, and guys, I've been told several times that the man sets the tone. We set the tone. So if we're in an argument, even if we wrong, we still set the tone. So even though, like our wives or significant others don't like to apologize, if we set that tone and say, you know what, my bad, I'm sorry, I'm just dealing with something. I didn't mean to offend you. I love you. Let's just not move on. And then of course we have agreed to whatever happens that day. The next day is not that that's done. Now, do we talk about it when we have calmed down? Yeah, but we're not getting up the next day and I'm calling you and you still talking about what happened last night on the cell phone. We're not doing that.
Right, because I think we both genders need to make sure they understand that the understanding of what took place doesn't mean agreement.
Right.
I just understand how you feel about it. I don't agree with you.
If I
But
communicate with you though,
If you,
I gotta do that.
absolutely. You have to understand that this is how this person feels. I don't feel that way, and I ain't gotta agree with the fact you feel that way because I don't like to say we all agree to disagree because you can have your view and it can be different, and it doesn't mean that because you all are married that it has to be I got to go your way. It doesn't mean that, right?
Do you know that when you apologize, even when you may actually not be wrong, it gives the other party or the other person that sense of like that's my hero because I know I was wrong and he came to me in a space when I knew I was wrong, he knew I was wrong, but he apologized just to make the situation better. So you become like this. It makes you bigger. You know what I mean? In my opinion. Yeah.
And it means you're finally listening, right?
And being
Because
vulnerable.
Yeah, because the thing is, oftentimes the disagreement is my way and your way,
Right.
right? And like he always uses the bed thing and how the covers in that corner is supposed to be. I bet he probably make the bed up like really like military. He uses that analogy.
I
on
believe- I
every
definitely
listening
He
believe
kind of
that.
uses that a lot.
Yeah, I'm a
lot.
military bred. I can't help
Yeah,
that.
that
Yeah.
bed thing got to get on your nerves. But the thing is, it's kind of like, and I say this with my clients when I'm telling them through marriage counseling, I'm saying, it's okay if y'all both got rice and she likes salt and pepper and you like sugar. It's okay. I need people to start understanding in the homes that you are not going to do everything the way both of you agree just because she took your last name. It's not going to be like that. And at what point, somebody has to recognize that I married this person because they created a life with me to be my person, but they were a person before they came mine.
And Minister Talita Banks just agreed with you and said, yes, it's okay if we both agree to disagree, meaning that validates what you said, Minister David, that I understand, or I'm sorry, what Dr. Cynthia said, I understand. Doesn't mean I agree, but I understand, and we're good. You have your perspective, I have mine. If it needs to be revisited at another time, cool. If not, you just want to make sure that there's an understanding. If there's an understanding, then you won. I mean, that's half the battle.
That's right. That's right.
And so I just want to say this. First of all, thank you guys so much.
Most
So
definitely.
much.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Much. I think it was a great conversation today, and I'm trying to hit on things that real men need to get out their chest, but also we hear you. I hear you, right? I really do. And I know women don't always want to do the gender thing. It's just, we need y'all. Y'all see what's going on in the world right now. We need our men, we need our black men, and we need to make sure that they have to come back home to protect us, like ICE in the world and all of this stuff is going on. Don't berate your husband. Don't come home and beat his head and beat his head and beat his head. Find a way to just have conversation. Talk to him. Ask him how his day was. Ask him if he's okay. Are you hungry? Did you eat? Can I do something? Right? Run him some water sometimes. Let's see if you can find a way to build him up. So if he got to go out in the world and fight to protect your home, you're not worried about that. So I want to leave you with this. Again, understanding doesn't mean agreement. It means we're finally listening, and listening is where healing begins. Allow them to be vulnerable. Don't shoot it back in their face. And to find a way to communicate so that every time before the disagreement, there's a conversation. Most conversations don't lead to disagreements. So find yourself in a space to have difficult conversations in the arms of one another. It feels a lot better than trying to just have a conversation. Don't turn the TV on. Turn on some Will Downing or something and chill, and then say, hey, let's talk about that. And then you got to be mindful that if it's over, when it's over, it's over. Close it up like the book chapter. It's done. Don't take it till tomorrow. Don't let it hang. We need our men. So thank you so much for joining us today. The Love from Afar Recovery Cafe. We're so excited. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Pull
Here
up.
at the Victory Worship Center. Thank you. See you later.